The paranormal world is one of moving shadows. Strange figures hidden just out of sight. Supernatural phenomena usually offers more questions than answers. Spirits, demons, and the undead. Join us as we journey into the darkness with researchers, investigators, psychics, or mediums, each one getting us one step closer to the truth. I'm Sean Wagner, and these are the Paranormal Files. Hey everyone, welcome to Paranormal Files Into the Darkness. Of course, I am Sean Wagner. Thank you for joining us. I will have my new co-host coming on before too long. A little bit later, she's running a hair behind tonight. But our guest for tonight, he's an author, researcher, also a former psychologist and addictions counselor, and of course, a rock journalist. Kind of very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest is MAXIM Furek. How are you, MAXIM?
Real good, Sean. Thanks so much for having me on Paranormal Files. And man, I love your intro. Like it really rocked the house. So thanks so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to having a deep and penetrating conversation about the paranormal.
Sounds good. Yeah, me too. We definitely have some interesting topics we're going to be covering tonight. Also, those of you watching, please consider give us a like and a share on Facebook, or thumbs up. Subscribe, hit the bell, notify future broadcasts on YouTube, and share. Thank you. If you have any questions along the way, please put them in all capital letters. We'll get to them as soon as we can. And that leads us to the every show tradition at this time. We take in, whoops, there we go. I never get it right in the camera.
Okay.
The toast that we always do.
Okay. To your health.
All right. Toast. There we go.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I forgot. To a great show. And basically, it's Thursday evening as well. We are almost through the week on Friday. Yes. Almost to the weekend.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yeah. One more day. And it's a long weekend, too, because leading up to New Year's. Also, I forgot to say, hope everyone had a nice Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope it was very good. And I hope you have an upcoming Happy New Year as well. All right. MAXIM, for those that don't know, can you talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, as you said in your intro, Sean, I'm a former rock journalist. I dabbled in rock and roll for many years. I've written several books, wrote for magazines, did a whole lot of that. And what I was doing I was trying to connect the dots with the 1971 song Timothy, which was by The Boys. And that was the highest charting rock song of any group in northeastern Pennsylvania. And it was about cannibalism in a mine. So I was investigating Shepton, where a lot of people felt that the song Timothy was based on the I don't know if you could see that, but
okay, here, give me a moment here. I think that I can produce something better here for you.
Okay.
Give me a moment here and I'll have it up.
Okay, good. Okay.
All right, there we go. Now it's go back and share it.
Okay. So that was Shepton, the Myth, Miracle, and Music. And the more I investigated Shepton, trying to connect it to the rock song, the more I realized that there were paranormal aspects of Shepton. Shepton took place in 1963. There was a mine disaster just outside of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. Lasted for something like, 2 weeks before they were able to rescue the miners. But 3 were down there for 2 weeks, only 2 came out. There were allegations of cannibalism. There were examples of out-of-body experience, near-death experience, and afterlife experiences. Pope John the 23rd, who had died in June, was seen in the pit in the mine for 2 weeks. Even though he had died in June, Shepton took place in August, and they saw the Pope, and they believed that it was a miracle. Pope John the 23rd was canonized in 2014, and Vatican scholars, many of them, felt that Shepton was one of his miracles. In order to get canonized, you had to perform at least 2 miracles. Well, Shepton was one of 3 purported miracles. So that Shepton opened up the door to the paranormal for me. Right after this book came out in 2015, I started to get invited to paranormal conferences. I went to a big one in Baltimore. Mysterious Universe from Australia did a 90-minute program on Shepton and the book and my research. So everything just sort of opened up, and I followed that up with Coal Region Hoodoo, and let me just show you that. So this is my second getting into the paranormal, and this book was pretty much Pennsylvania centric. I wanted to talk about the Pennsylvania coal region and all of the weirdness that we have in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you what, this book was written from a lot of anger and frustration for several reasons. One, most of the books written about Pennsylvania paranormal are written about either Gettysburg or Lancaster, the Lancaster hex signs and white witches and all that. And I felt that northeastern Pennsylvania, the coal region, and western Pennsylvania had just as many stories of the supernatural and the paranormal as did Lancaster and Gettysburg. So I decided to write about it. The other thing was Stephen King was making a career out of talking about all of the weird stuff happening in Maine. And I said, wait a second. I mean, Pennsylvania, we have so many things that are happening in our state, and I wanted to just go and document that. So that's what Coal Region Hoodoo was all about. And one of the things I did was I wanted to connect the art to life, that metaphor that we make art out of things that had already happened. And with that, in Pennsylvania, we had Night of the Living Dead, The Blob, and the Philadelphia Experiment. All of those were Pennsylvania centric. They took place here. As a matter of fact, this year, 2023, is the 80 year anniversary of the Philadelphia Experiment, where in 1943 they allegedly teleported the ship from Philadelphia to Norfolk and back. So I wrote about that, wrote about The Blob, and I start Coal Region Hoodoo out with Night of the Living Dead. That was shot in Evans City, north of Pittsburgh, and that was 1968. And we went out there, and the mayor gave us Dean Zinkhan gave us, my wife and I, a tour of the cemetery. He offered to remarry us there at the chapel, the Night of the Living Dead chapel and all that. But anyway, Night of the Living Dead was about zombies and the undead, and this begat The Walking Dead and every other zombie flick that's out there. We did it here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We conjured that up, and we started that genre. So, I wanted to go and just document some of the uniqueness that we have in Pennsylvania. And, we don't take second place when it comes to weirdness and high strangeness. Our state has it all.
Oh, you're definitely right. I definitely completely agree. What you mentioned, sorry, I lost track a little bit what you mentioned there. You talked about, because I'm doing a little bit of everything tonight. I'm not used to running the board and trying to do the interview by myself too much. But you talked about, oh shoot, what did you say a little bit ago? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to connect the dots. I wanted to just go and promote and document the high strangeness that we have here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And like I said, we don't stand second to anybody, whether it's Louisiana, or Maine, New England, Pennsylvania has a lot of interesting things and bizarre things. For example, Pennsylvania is supposed to be the number 3 state as far as Bigfoot sightings after California and Washington. A lot of these are, hi, Lori. A lot of these are in Western Pennsylvania in a place called Chestnut Ridge, a 3-county, 4-county area southeast of Pittsburgh that runs down to West Virginia. So, we're seeing a whole lot of Bigfoot sightings there. Stan Gordon seems to be the guy that, and Eric Altman, but these are the guys that are documenting this and keeping score of people that are seeing these creatures. And the other thing too, that when I first heard about this, I thought that this was just totally bizarre, but not only Bigfoot, but Bigfoot sightings along with UFO sightings at the same time. And when I first heard about that, I mean, that just totally blew my mind. But it shows us that there's a level of high strangeness, there's a level of the paranormal involved in these Bigfoot sightings. So it's more than just, it's more than what we see, what we think we see, and again, science hasn't even caught up with it. Science hasn't given us theories and hypotheses as to what this could be. And I think, we need to have the scientific community, working with us so we could make sense of all this.
What I was thinking, I meant to ask you. I'm sorry. I know you told me to cut in a little bit, and my apologies to everyone earlier. I got a little bit off track, but can you tell us what your thoughts are on the Philadelphia experiment? Was it real, or is it just a rumor? Any idea if it was actually attempted?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, you got to identify your apples and your oranges. In 1943, Allied shipping was under attack by German U-boats and also these underwater mines. And what happened was that both the U-boat torpedoes and the mines would lock on to the magnetic pull of these iron ships. So in Canada, they developed a thing called degaussing, and they were able to go and neutralize that magnetic pull, that current, and literally make the ships invisible to the enemy radar. So the degaussing technique is true. That did happen. Now, according to the Philadelphia experiment, this was a degaussing experiment that went sideways, and in the interim, this ship was teleported from Philadelphia to Norfolk and back. There was time travel involved, all kinds of bizarre things, but there's never been any proof of that. And we've had a number of people like Carlos Allende. He's from New Kensington, Pennsylvania. I talked about the Chestnut Ridge. Well, New Kensington's in Chestnut Ridge. That's like the weirdest part of the state. So Carl Allen comes out, and he took a copy of Dr. Morris Jessup's book on UFOs, The Case for the UFOs, and he wrote all these annotations in it. It looked like there were 3 people having a conversation, including one of them being an alien. Carl Allen sent a copy of this to the Navy. The Navy people called Dr. Morris Jessup in to find out. And he said, "Yeah, I've been getting all these letters from this guy Carl Allen." So they realized that Carl Allen was doing all this. And I think Carl Allen was more of a prankster than anything else. So Carl Allen was one. The other one was Al Belak, who claimed that he was the engineer that pulled the lever on the Eldridge, that was involved in the Philadelphia experiment. Belak claimed that he was program director at Montauk, the place in Long Island that allegedly was the epicenter for mind control experiments. So all of these things have a little kernel of truth. The Philadelphia experiment, yes, there were attempts at degaussing, and that was pretty standard, just to make the ships, invisible to the Navy, enemy radar. Even Montauk, we know that the CIA was using LSD and doing mind control experiments, and I think it was the MK Ultra, I believe, was the name of that operation. What the CIA did, not in the 40s, but later, they gave LSD to their scientists. And and if you don't know that you're taking a hallucinogen, whether it's LSD or MDMA, methylene deoxymethamphetamine, ecstasy, If you don't know that you've been dosed, you're thinking that you're going crazy. Well, the one scientist that the CIA dosed committed suicide. He jumped out of the window, and President
Of a
Ford,
hotel, correct?
yeah, yeah,
Right, right. I'm
President
sorry.
Ford
Oh,
paid the family, gave them reparations for this, and apologized. But the CIA has done a whole lot of things. So all I'm saying is that the kernel of truth in Montauk is that, we know that the government was playing around with mind control
mhm.
and LSD and all that. So why not have it in Long Island? I mean, it could have been at Montauk, but maybe it was someplace else. So we don't know. But Al Bielak was the one who talked about that. And, so you had Carl Allen and Al Bielak, and you had Phil Schroeder and all these other people stepping forward and inserting themselves into the Philadelphia experiment and making it more mythological. All of the things that Carl Allen and Al Bielak said we haven't been able to prove. The only thing we've been able to prove is that we know that that the military did experiment with degaussing to try to make these ships invisible
Because
to
what I
radar.
heard a little bit beyond what you said is that the sailors actually came back like partially embedded in the ship.
Yeah, yeah. There was
Um,
there was a 1984 movie, The Philadelphia Experiment, and when people watched that, the most horrific, gripping scene was that on the way back from Norfolk, this time travel teleportation thing. That's what it was. It was uh, allegedly it was teleported, and then there was some sort of time travel. But these men on the way back, two of them were still alive, and they were fused inside the bulkhead. People supposedly were going insane. Allegedly the Navy told the people that the men had been lost at sea, and there was just all kinds of stories about this. Belak even said that the Eldridge, that was the destroyer escort that was involved in this, said that the Eldridge was also teleported to Chicago and then teleported to Nevada. This was years later. So
oh wow.
his story got bigger and more bizarre. So you could check out Mr. Al Belak on YouTube. Listen to him. He is very skillful. He's very articulate. He has a lot of knowledge of recall and detail. But I don't know how much of that is we should believe. Again,
All
there's
right.
no proof. And as scientists, and even as people that are involved in the paranormal, we want the proof. We want to see proof. We don't want conjecture and suggestions and ideas and that. We want to see some of the proof. And with the Philadelphia experiment, we're getting very little of that.
Now that's what I was truly wanting. We do have a question as well, by the
Yeah.
way. Octopus with no friends. Thank you for tuning in. I haven't seen you before, so thank you for joining us tonight. No way, this year is the 80th anniversary. Isn't there supposed to be some sort of echoes of the Philadelphia experiment in that area on certain anniversaries?
Well, it did take place in 1943, and this is the 80th 80-year anniversary of it. But yeah, I've heard that. When I've been interviewed about the Philadelphia experiment, and everyone's asking me about time travel and about these echoes. So I don't know. Again, we don't have a whole lot of proof uh, about what happened there. What we do have, this is something that's kind of interesting. We have dead bodies. Dr. Morris Jessup committed suicide in a parking lot in Miami, Florida. He hooked up
Hmm.
his car to the exhaust. He put a tube there, ran a pipe into his car, committed suicide. Some people said he was murdered. Um, Admiral
That's
James,
always possible if you got knocked out
yeah,
somehow, and
yeah.
that's not that hard to pull off. Then
Well, some people claim that he came too close, that he found out something about the Philadelphia experiment, and you know, and he was killed because of that. The other one was was Admiral James Forrestal. Forrestal was implicated with MJ-12, Majestic 12. And this was a group of people that allegedly were put together, I think, under President Truman, to go and retrieve crashed saucers, like after Roswell in '47. Forrestal was a member of that group, that alleged group, that murky group, whether it was real or a hoax, but still. Admiral Forrestal was another one who committed suicide. He jumped out of a 16th floor window at the Bethesda Hospital. So Jessup was committed suicide. Forrestal committed suicide. Phil Schneider, who was a friend of Al Bielak, was killed military style, and he was another one that fit into Montauk and Philadelphia experiment. Phil Schneider claimed that his father was a former U-boat commander that was enlisted to the United States Navy and was served aboard the Eldridge that was involved in the Philadelphia experiment. So anyway, Schneider was another one he was murdered military style. They wrapped either a catheter or something around his neck and killed him. So there were a number of people that died mysterious deaths, people that were involved in the Philadelphia experiment. So who knows?
Oh, wow.
I mean, so the story just gets more bizarre.
Well, I also want to go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut in here for a moment. We'll go right back to the bizarre stuff in a moment. I want to introduce my new co-host, Lori Johnson. Thank you for tuning in, or getting for agreeing to come with us.
Hi, Lori. How you doing?
Can you hear us? Uh-oh. Can you hear us, Lori? Oh, she's smiling so she can hear us a little bit.
Oh, good. Okay.
Cool. I know.
Okay.
All right. And I want to thank her for coming on with us as well.
Yeah.
I asked her because, to make a long story short, she's knowledgeable on the paranormal and knows what the TV shows have to do with, as well as she speaks her mind. Those are three key things that I like in a co-host.
Very good. Okay. Well, thanks.
Now, you were talking about the bizarre stuff about the Philadelphia experiment. Still, there was one comment as well.
Yeah.
That I didn't get to. Also, Octopus said, "I've always wanted to go there on one of the anniversaries," which is why I'm asking. Why he was asking. He or she was asking. I'm sorry, not sure. And they didn't know the part that you talked about a little while ago.
Yeah. Well, Sean, as you say in your intro in Paranormal Files, there's a lot more questions than there are answers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially the Philadelphia experiment.
And when you talk about the paranormal, when you talk about the supernatural, you're talking about something that is beyond science. And there may be a scientific explanation, but at this point, we just don't know what that is. So it becomes supernatural. It's just out there. And I think we need to just keep on looking and trying to figure this out. I'll give you a good example. This has nothing to do with the Philadelphia experiment, but with the Colorado Bigfoot sighting this year, somebody took a video of that, and there was some question whether or not it was an actual Bigfoot creature or it was a man in a ghillie outfit, camouflaged. It was during elk hunting season, so it didn't make sense for anybody to be out there. But after the fact, the people that took that video, I didn't hear anything after the fact. Like, for example, why didn't they turn that video over to scientists, to a university, so those people could take a look at it and make a determination if it was valid or a hoax?
My opinion is way too good to be true. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was to catch it middle of the camera. I know it's not very close, but you're talking middle of the camera. I don't know. It's for a creature that's very little evidence right out in the middle where everybody can see me. I don't buy it.
Yeah. Oh, so you think it was authentic?
Oh no, a hoax.
Oh yeah. Me too. Yeah, I'm saying if it was authentic, if I took that shot, first thing I would do is go to Penn State and have those scientists take a look at it and tell me what.
Absolutely. You'd have something. You'd go somewhere.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, our field has been hoaxed since day one. In the 20s and 30s with the people that were into the spiritualism, people like George Adamski, who saw the saucers, people like George Lazar, who claim that he reversed engineered all those things at Area 51. And man, when you check George Lazar's track record, everything he said, going to Caltech, going to MIT, he never did that. He graduated in the lower 1/3 of his high school class. I mean, MIT doesn't, accept people like that. So George Lazar talked a good talk, but and he had some people backing him, and but so anyway, that's another one. I am so sick and tired of us being bamboozled by some of these hoaxers, and George Lazar has been debunked 50 times over, so he's another one. Lori, can you hear me? Can you hear us?
Let me ask something. Do you think all the? It's a little bit. I can only hear a little bit. It's breaking up.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
It's breaking up.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, and I have trouble making out what you're saying.
But if I could, I think what you're asking is about, I don't think every single thing in the paranormal and ufology is a hoax, but I'm just saying that
Correct,
the
I
whole
agree.
history of ufology has been just riddled by these people that were hoaxers, like George Adamski.
It's not a hoax. I've seen that.
Not everything, but some
I've
of
seen
it.
the blue coats and the gray coats of the
Okay.
aliens. Hold on for 1 minute. I'm going to try to fix the
audio.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you can, because I'd like to hear what you think.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to. It's the audio, but yeah, you guys are lagging a little bit. But I've seen the gray coats, and so the gray coats are more greenish than the blue. The blue are a little bit darker green, but it's still a blue to me. Not blue. I'm not colorblind. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because you guys are frozen to me. But anyways, with the spirituality that I do, I'm way out there. I do the past lives. I do everything. I see the spirits. I see everything. And there are a lot of people that when I started awakening, I seen them as their true self. And the true self would be, it is crazy. I mean, it is crazy. I always tell everybody, I should be on the 3rd floor hugging myself, but a lot of things out there are fake. And it pees me off because it confuses people. It's confusing people because, there are people out there that are dealing with the real stuff and nobody wants to look at it because of all the fake stuff that's out there.
Right.
People want their 15 seconds of fame.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why they do it. They do it for the fame. They're, I don't know. Or maybe they think they're going to.
Yeah, but I was not doing it for the money, and I wasn't doing it for the fame. I did it because I lived in Shepherdstown almost 2 years before film came out there, and I was dealing with coaches and horses and my very first time ever going to Pennsylvania and the Gettysburg area, and I had a young 17, 19-year-old boy, very tall, dark brown hair, walk up to me, drop to his knees, and says, "Sir, shoot me." And I said, "Why do you want me to shoot you?" And he said, "Because we're starving to death." I'm not saying I'm a illiterate person. I'm not a illiterate person. But, a lot of the stuff that's happened in the Gettysburg War, I knew nothing about it. You know what I mean? I'm a girl. My dad protected me from everything. So when I asked the questions, they said there was a time that they were starving because they couldn't get food over. So I had to mentally tell him, manipulate the energy and let him know that he's in my time and that he was, and he still wouldn't get it. He still did not get it that he died. So I had to show him where the Red Cross was, the tent, and I told him that his sergeant was there waiting for him. So I deal with a lot of very old souls that don't even realize they died. Now, with the TV, there is a lot, with my TV show. I don't know if you've ever watched it, Ghost of Shepherdstown. It's still on TV. It's still running. It's 2 seasons. There was a lot of things that happened that why it stopped, but they went to another state, Louisiana, I believe, and they did a lot of reenactment. And I think that we do need the reenactment to a point, because there's a lot of people that do not comprehend what really was happening, So, I mean, there is a lot of TV shows that are out there fake that are getting too much. A young girl in Texas.
Oh, definitely.
He's celestial, but he's also. I believe that Bigfoot is celestial, but he's also some type of because he can get lay in the water and still breathe. So I've seen him, it's basically in my ways of talking. He melted right into the mountains. They love the mountains.
Yeah, I'm trying to hear what you're saying. It's coming across garbled. It's coming across garbled, and it's like dragging. Your audio is dragging. I'm having a hard time hearing what she's saying.
Yeah, I am too, a little bit. Go, can you repeat that? Try. That might not be a bad idea.
Sean, do you want me to reboot?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And okay. And Octopus says, agree. There's a lot of disinformation out there. People are muddying the waters.
Yeah.
As far as the everybody faking, regardless of whether it's a TV show or video.
And it sort of makes fools out of us.
Yes.
And
we all look bad.
When we want the academics and the scientists to come and join with us to investigate this and find out what's the reality and what's not. A good example was just this year, right after the July 2023 congressional UFO hearings, where David Grush said that he knows where the saucers are and the dead bodies, and he'll give that information to the right people at the right time. Right after that, Jaime Maussan, the Mexican ufologist, he carted out the 2 alien creatures. They were about 3 foot tall. They had, I think, 3 fingers, and he had them in these cases. And the Mexican scientific community pushed back. And with the scientific method, what you need to do is you need to take those bodies and share them with the scientific community so they could do their analysis and find out what this is. A good example of that is when we went up to the moon and got the moon rocks. We came down here, we broke them down to little particles, and then we would divvy them out to scientists around the world. So these scientists could go and investigate those moon rocks and say this is what they are composed of, and then compare their results and their research with what we have. That's what the scientific community is supposed to do. Now, with the Mexican alien corpses, none of that happened because Jaime Maussan didn't show us the bodies, didn't show us the corpses. So there was more of this hoaxery going on. He was working a con, and so another. We spent a lot of time, looking at this and getting excited about what it could have been, but in the end, it was another hoax. And Jaime Maussan is noted for doing that. It's not the first time that he did that. So, so that's what we're dealing with.
All right. We're just going to take a momentary break, and then we'll be right back.
You're watching Paranormal Files Into the Darkness on CARC Universal.
All right. And we are back. All right. And we also had a comment. And continuing, and Octopus said, it's because intentional misinformation from certain letters for certain people. That's certainly the case.
Yeah.
and then the little tridactyl beings. Yeah, agreed. I think that was
Right.
on the. Um,
Mexican, yeah, they were in Mexico City, and this Jaime Maussan, the
mhm.
ufologist, he presented them there. They carted them in, and it was a real big thing. It was the Mexican equivalent to our congressional UFO hearings in July. Happened
Okay.
right after that. So, you know, um, the other thing too, I've written letters to Senator Marco Rubio, and the other one was to Senator Chuck Schumer. They were involved in the UFO investigations, and I want to know where's the rest of the story. I mean, David Grush told a big story. He talked about knowing where everything is. So I'm saying, show your cards. Force him to go and tell us what he knows. And
Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever find out
well,
much.
it's like we were hitting another stone wall again. So the government, the Pentagon was talking a good talk about disclosure and transparency, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, it really slowed down big time.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
it would have been nice to learn a lot more in that regards.
yeah. Um, in my book Coal Region Hoodoo, I have two chapters on Bigfoot and two chapters on UFOs. I went out to Kecksburg for the Kecksburg UFO festival, and as you know, in 1963 there was a crash outside of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, and that's in the Chestnut Ridge area, where all the weirdness happens.
Great
And
area.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's rich. It's rich, with the paranormal. But anyway, the military came in the dead of night. They took out whatever crashed, whether it was one of ours or a Soviets or an alien crash thing or a German the Glock time travel device. I mean, who knows? But they took it out and told everybody to shut up. You didn't see anything. And that was back in the days when we were pretty conforming and we listened to authority. But here's the thing, the important thing. With the Freedom of Information Act, a number of people, including Stan Gordon, petitioned the government for information on Kecksburg. And what they got was either it was totally redacted, it was scrubbed out, nothing was there, or documents were missing. So we never got to the bottom of what crashed outside of Kecksburg in 1965. So again, we leave it to conjecture rather than science. The government's not telling us anything. And I'm just curious, I mean, why, if it was a crashed Russian satellite, if it was one of ours, I mean, why not just admit that to the people? I don't see any problem with that.
Um, so Kecksburg, they didn't say. I know for Roswell, they said it was a weather balloon. And what
Yeah.
was the excuse for Kecksburg? Did they give
Oh, yeah.
anything at all?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that. Kecksburg is the Pennsylvania's Roswell,
Mhm.
and they didn't give us any explanation. I mean, people like Stan Gordon and myself, we think it might have been a Soviet satellite. It could have been one of ours. It could have been an experimental satellite that went down. We're not sure. The story got bigger. Some people were saying that it was a time machine device from the 30s that went from Nazi Germany over to Kecksburg. But again, we don't know because we don't have the data. All we have is the mythology. So, we don't know what that is, but all we know is that it was in Pennsylvania and it was in the Chestnut Ridge. And there's another one, just, mark off that box, another weird thing happening in Chestnut Ridge. So.
You believe there's a
And
time travel machine?
go ahead. Can you say it again?
You believe that there's a time travel machine?
That's a good question.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm friends with I'm friends with Tim Schwartz. Tim has been on History's Mysteries and Ancient Aliens, and he talks about time travel. He's written a book about time travel and all that, but I don't know. I haven't seen any proof of that. It's certainly a wonderful romantic idea, but I've never seen any proof of that. And Philadelphia experiment is part of that mythology, and so is, it seems, so is Kecksburg. But but we don't know.
No, I don't believe there is one. I don't believe that there's a time travel. But is there time travelers? Yes, I do believe that.
Okay.
Different times. You know, did you do you remember in 2012, a lot of people started awakening. A lot of people started acting different. Times started changing. The equator has shifted, and I felt it when it happened. And I could see different things happening. I do believe that. I believe, we're orbiting, but do we just orbit and not anything happen? Are we going through different times orbs or whatever you want to call it? I do believe we do.
Okay.
I don't know. But in this 2023, for the past 20 years, it's a wackadoodle. This world's it's gone crazy. It has gone crazy. A lot of people are coming out with more storylines of things that are happening. Show me, don't tell me. You know what I mean? So, Bigfoot, there is a Bigfoot. I believe that. I really do believe it. The conversation that you, Maxim, is that your name?
Yeah.
You were talking about conspiracy on, the government creating things with men, and I believe that. I really do. I believe a lot of it. My dad was in the Navy, and he saw a lot of stuff.
Well, the government's been involved in denial and cover-up and misinformation. A good example of that is William L. Moore, who wrote the Roswell incident, and he co-wrote the Philadelphia experiment with Charles Berlitz, and he was spreading disinformation within the UFO community, and he admitted that. And now this guy is off the grid. We don't see him. We don't hear from him. He was one of the leading voices of ufology. Nobody, William L. Moore has been discredited and disgraced.
Yeah, but I believe him. I believe.
You what?
I believe him. I have the tendency of, if you say a name, I can live their past to find out if they're telling the truth or they're telling a story or making a story up. So I don't believe 100% of what he says, but I do believe that there are some crazy stuff that he's gone through.
Yeah. Well, he admitted that he was spreading disinformation that he got received from government agents.
Yeah, but how do you know that the government didn't threaten him?
I don't know that.
I believe that there's a lot more out there, but the people that bring it out, of the sheets and bringing an attention to it, and all of a sudden there's too much attention to it, and then you get this crazy fan club of these particular things that are happening that are being said, and then all of a sudden the government gets on those people that started it, and they're discrediting them.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta. I believe that. Why would somebody bring something up that's out of this world like this, and then all of a sudden recant it?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be that they were threatened. I don't know. But William L. Moore is gone. We don't hear from him any longer. Same thing with Bob Lazar. He wrote this book, Dreamland, but he's undercover. I mean, he doesn't come up for interviews or anything. He's been. If you Googled Bob Lazar, and you'll see Bob Lazar discredited, Bob Lazar debunked. I mean, just he was another one who just told us the story we wanted to hear with Roswell, alien creatures, reverse engineering, all that. That's what he was talking about. And element 115 that was used to propel these craft, all this stuff. So, I mean, that was his story, but none of it was true. And the people that interviewed him, like George Knapp, also believed that it wasn't true. So, one by one, these houses, these houses built of cards fall over. And
is there any sign that maybe we have gotten anything from extraterrestrials as far as technology goes?
That's an interesting thing. I don't, for example, I don't believe in Eric von Daniken's theory that that extraterrestrials came here and they juiced the civilization and they helped man, build the Easter Island statues and the pyramids. I think that man is so, even ancient man was so advanced and technologically proficient that we can't even figure out how the ancients built those pyramids. We have all kinds of theories that they used 20,000 slaves rolling things over logs and everything else, but we don't know. We don't know. So I don't believe that it was ancient aliens, and everything that Eric von Daniken wrote was plagiarized and had been written about before, including Dr. Morris Jessup, who was one of the main characters of the Philadelphia experiment. So I don't believe Eric von Daniken. He was another one that, but I'll say this about Eric von Daniken. He was the most successful of all these people. He was able to go and take his pseudoscience, and the public was more interested in the pseudoscience than the real science. Think about that. I mean, why is it that we went to Eric von Daniken and those crazy stories about the Space Brothers coming here and doing all that stuff? Not true. It wasn't true, but people wanted to believe that, and it made Eric von Daniken probably a millionaire and launched Ancient Aliens and everything else. I mean, this theme, this bunch of pseudoscience is making money for a whole lot of people. But the question is, why would we embrace fiction rather than reality? Why would we embrace pseudoscience rather than the truth? And that's what upsets me. Again, I want to approach the paranormal as a scientist, as an academic. And when these people are wrong, I think they need to be called out for it. So that's my theory. I don't know. Lori, what do you think about Eric von Daniken? Are you a fan?
I don't know who he is, but from what I'm seeing, spiritually, if that's what you're asking me,
he's the one who wrote Chariots of the Gods.
Oh.
And he's the one. His.
I want to ask you something. Do you base everything, and not being rude, I'm not a rude person, I'm very blunt, that's what I am, so I'll apologize ahead of time. Do you think that everything that's happened, including the pyramids and everything that, there is no proof that a man built that? How can a man build something with no tools?
Well, what do you mean without tools?
Pyramids. Do you believe that everything needs to be scientific, or do you believe that there's more things out there than science that can explain?
Yeah, there's probably more things out there that we don't know. Like Sean said in his intro, there's more questions than answers. Absolutely. That's why we're having this conversation. The paranormal, the supernatural is all the shades of gray. It's not black or white. I mean, I wish it was. It would, this would be great, but it's not. It's the shades of.
Yeah, but I think there's more to paranormal than people think there is. But the thing is, you've got these people out there trying to make a fast buck, or attention getters, is what I get it. They're out there making it more, in a way, is unknown. Or they're making it where it's, I say taking a molehill and into a mountain. I'm from Texas, sorry. But is there poltergeist? Absolutely, I've seen it. Is there possessions? Absolutely, I've seen it. Is there, I call it a walk-in, and then, it's a spirit, there's souls that are lingering. Do you believe that there's souls that still linger on Earth?
The souls that are what?
Still lingering on Earth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I believe in the spirit world.
Yeah.
I believe in guardian angels. I believe in apparitions. I believe in all that,
Do you believe that when you're sick, that your loved ones come through, and there's some spirit, I call them souls, you call them spirits or ghosts, I call them souls, walks right into you to help you heal?
I believe there are spirits or ghosts that are in our lives. That I believe that we don't walk our journey alone. I believe that we have guardian angels, we have ancestors, we have people that walk with us. And they don't save us when we're in trouble. They don't save us, but they point us in the right direction. They say this is the way to go.
Okay, but see, the thing is, not being rude, but saving us is ego. They're not saving us, but they do try to give us in our own voice, because There's a lot of people out there. If they hear from their father, oh my God, there's reality. My dad's gone, but I'm still hearing my dad. You know, there are our loved ones, our souls that of our loved ones out there whispering in our ears, don't go do that.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that said, I've got to do that. You know, you have to start listening to your intuition.
Hmm. Okay.
Everybody has an intuition. Everybody has that inner voice.
Hmm.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You may be right on that. I don't know. I mean, again, I got a theory. You got a theory. But.
Well, I know when my children were younger, I have 3 kids. My daughter, she said, come up to me. She was about maybe between 8 and 12 years old. Mom, can I go with Diane? And all of a sudden, I was shown a vision. There was going to be an accident, and she was going to get hurt because she wasn't in a car or in a seatbelt. And I said, no, I don't think so. And she got mad at me. Of course, she's a redhead too. And we got a phone call within a half an hour. There was a car accident. So you have to believe your gut instinct. There's a lot of children or even adults that say that there's hovering parents. When you have a concern on a particular thing or a person, stay with your gut instinct because it's your loved ones telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Okay.
like, is your dad passed, honey? Maxim?
Yes.
Is your dad passed, baby?
Yeah. He passed. Yeah.
Okay, he's behind you, honey.
He's what?
He stands behind you.
Okay.
Yeah. And do you
I
have
believe
melanoma?
you. I believe you.
Do you have melanoma on your face?
Again, you're breaking up, Laura.
I'm a shaman. I'm a shamanic healer, medical intuitive.
Okay.
Do you have melanoma on your face?
Do I what?
Melanoma. It's a skin cancer.
Oh, no, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it's my right, your left side.
Oh, you think I do have it?
Yes, sir. Get checked, please.
Okay, I will. Okay, thank you.
Well, let's get back a little bit towards towards the general topic and everything a little bit. This is a little bit of an older topic towards the UFOs. Octopus that find it so incredibly funny that countries like Australia and Canada and England, they know as much as our country does, and they pretend none of this disclosure is happening at all. Also goes on to say, he's so debunked. That was towards Eric. I forget his last name. My apologies there. Eric, you know it, right, Maxim?
Eric von Daniken.
Yes, he's so
Okay.
debunked because they didn't want the truth coming out yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Octopus, but I believe that's who it's in regards to coming out yet. He was discredited, but regardless, that does not mean he's lying.
That's true. I believe that.
Yeah.
And then towards Bob Lager.
Bob Lazar.
Lazar, okay. Yeah, sorry about that, Bob. He's not watching though, obviously, but he's still around. He's working on some projects now. Still sticks to his story regarding Area 51. It fits with all other theories and cannot be disproven.
Well, I'll tell you what. Bob Lazar said that he discovered element 115, and that was the element that used to propel these crash saucers that he was reverse engineering. He claimed that he took some of that element 115. So we've never seen it. He's never produced it. There's the evidence. There's the proof, So
That sucks. I wish there was some truth to it because,
yeah.
I mean, because if
You know what?
it has to be producible if he actually had it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's a lot of things that are hidden. They're hidden. That's why you don't see these people that started a lot of these conversations on stuff like this. It's because they're hidden. There's got to be a reason why they're debunking so many people. There's got to be. Is it because they're using it against another nation? Are they going to use it as a weapon?
Yeah, we don't know. There's a lot that we don't know.
And then Octopus goes on to say, but he also thinks, or she, I'm sorry, I'm not sure, that Von Daniken or whatever has certain points. But of course, you can't believe everything.
Right. Well, archaeologists have looked at his Chariots of the Gods and Gold of the Gods and all the other books that he's written and just refuted it point by point by point. I mean, scientifically, there's nothing there that he's saying that, he can't prove it. So he's a hoaxer, but he's a successful dude. He was the one who articulated the ancient alien mythology, and he's made money from it, and people believe it. And why? Why do people believe it? Well, because it's almost like a religion. People are tired of organized religion. When you talk about the aliens and the space brothers, it gives us hope and optimism. And, so UFOs and aliens become another quasi-religion. And, and that professor from, I think, North Carolina wrote a book about that very thing. So, but Donnegan's interesting. I read all of his books, and I believed that at the time. But he's been taken down by a whole lot of people better than me. So,
and Octopus goes on to say, "Indeed, she gets me, LOL." And then,
okay.
oh, whoops. I'm one ahead there. Sorry about that. I don't think we should necessarily believe universities and the Smithsonian and all them.
Yeah. Well, we need to look at the scientific record, and we need to take a look at, what we do know is the truth. When George Adamski in the 50s said that he went to the moon, he went to Venus, and he went to Saturn, and we know that that's not true. I mean, because, you can't live and breathe there on those planets. But people wanted to believe George Adamski. And what he did was he inserted himself into that UFO thing right after 47. And again, he was one of the first people to promote the New Age philosophy. And so that's what George Adamski did. But, he was another one that was just, a bit of a sham.
And I don't trust the Smithsonian as far as I can throw it.
Well,
and official science will always be behind the times when it comes to the paranormal by definition.
Well, that may be true too. Again, you need to look at this thing in themes of black and white, but what we're seeing with the paranormal is all the shades of gray. So, that's where we're at. And by the way, I was really having a hard time hearing Lori. Her words were coming across garbled and almost like they were dragging. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to go and have a good conversation with her, and I apologize for that, but I just couldn't hear her.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I hopefully we can get her sound improved, figure out what her audio issues are in the future.
Yeah.
And a little bit of an experiment, not sure how that was going to work. You always hope for the best, certainly.
Yeah. She did say that she saw my father, the image of my father behind
Correct,
me.
yes.
Well, that's
honestly, she is good at that kind of thing.
Okay, very good.
I really believe that.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't have her on if she wasn't.
Yeah,
I didn't think she was.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And mom's beside you too.
Okay.
Can you repeat that, or?
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's better if you can speak from right there.
Okay. Is your mom passed also?
Yeah, she is. Yep.
Yeah, she's right there. She's got a rounder face. You're more like your dad.
Okay.
And he's also, who is Harry?
Who's who?
Harry.
Harry?
Yeah.
Don't know any Harry.
Your dad is with a man named Harry, and he's balding.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah, he's with Harry.
Okay.
Do you have your mom's ring?
Pardon?
You have your mom's ring?
Again, I can't hear you.
Do you have your mom's ring?
No, my mom's name isn't Gwen.
I hear it. No, that's not what I said. Do you have your mom's ring?
No, I don't.
Who has the teal ring?
My sister.
Okay. She's just acknowledging it.
Okay.
Yeah, she's happy.
Okay. So Shepton was the book that got me into the paranormal, and then Coal Region Hoodoo, was my follow-up, and that's been doing really well. We've had a number of book signings back home, and in Pennsylvania, and So if anyone is interested in a really comprehensive narrative about Pennsylvania paranormal, please consider my book, Coal Region Hoodoo, Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. It talks about UFOs and Bigfoot. I have a chapter on Dr. Frederick Santee, who was the high priest for the Coven of the Kata. He was a white witch, friends with Sybil Leek, and really interesting guy. And also, as we were talking before we went on air, I was friends with Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they were the Roman Catholic demonologists that investigated the Schmurl haunting in the mid 80s in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. And the Schmurl haunting was our version of the Amityville Horror, with the grunting sounds and the smells and the profanities etched on the mirrors and all kinds of just weird demonic things. And so it drove them out of the house. And it took many priests performing exorcisms before they finally cleansed the house. So that was a part of Coal Region Hoodoo. There's a chapter on several chapters on Ed and Lorraine Warren and the Schmurl haunting.
And they are truly two of the very best people in the world of the paranormal, are Ed and Elaine Warren.
Yeah. And
I was fortunate enough to get to hear her speak at the one when the Penn State kids, well, they weren't really kids then, especially now, did their university Paracon.
Okay, wonderful.
I went the 1 year.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. I met them in 1988. They were on a 15-city book tour, and there was a book called The Haunted that was written about the Schmurl haunting. So I had a chance to meet them, hang out with them, and then I kept in contact with them over the years, and they were very gracious. I would ask them questions about demonology and Roman Catholic mysticism, and they took their time and just held my hand and walked me through this. They were very nice people. So, yeah, I liked Ed and Lorraine. So.
Do you think that Ed was more spiritual than Lorraine?
Well, she was supposed to be like a clairvoyant, a psychic, but Ed was the one who he claimed that he would go into a house and he would do demonic battle with these demons, and he would invoke the spirit of Jesus Christ, of Saint Michael the Archangel, of Padre Pio. I remember the saint that had the stigmata. He bled, and then he would do battle with these demons, and he would use the crucifix and holy water. But this is nice cat. This is this battle with demons has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So what Ed talked about wasn't anything new. And the rite of exorcism isn't anything new. That's been around for thousands of years as well. So, I think the problem is we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, and we want to acknowledge that evil does exist, and that the devil does exist. And I think that the devil wants us to believe that he or she is just a myth. So that's but I don't believe that at all. So anyway, that's my own, personal belief, and and I just warn people not to get too close. Again, I dabble in this stuff as an academic. I don't get too close to the flame because I don't want to get burned. So
definitely. And Octopus did have a couple of other things to say as well. Official science will always be behind the times. Oh, I did say, I'm sorry. We'll move on to the next one. My apologies. I take everything very measuredly. I very much believe in science, and I don't think every university professor is lying or anything silly. I went to college and love biology most of all.
Okay. Well, again, there's a room for science, and for the rest of us in the room, I think that we try to go and understand and explain these elements of high strangeness and the paranormal. So that's why we're having our conversation tonight, just to make some sense of it. So
definitely.
I think science is limited. Science is limited to me.
Yeah, correct.
But since then, since my atheist days, I opened up to pretty much anything and everything spiritual, paranormal, and weird. I believe a whole lot not that cannot be proven.
Yeah, I think you're right there. You know, you got to believe. We're looking for proof, but even with with faith. I mean, we can't, there's so many things that we just can't prove. We don't have the evidence for it, so that's we're limited. And whether it's UFOs, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's other elements, cryptids, all of that. So
Before we go, can I ask you a couple questions I had on that regards to in particular Shepton?
yeah.
Did they ever? Did any? Well, I guess no matter what I ask, it's a rough question territory here. But was there any evidence pulled that from the remains of Louis Bova from the mine?
No, what happened was there was a guy named Andy Trebitko. He was the president of the independent miners, and he went down there after they rescued Felon and Throne. He went back down and looked around, and there was nothing there. But my understanding is this: when the mine caved in on that Tuesday morning, there was a mountain of coal and rock that separated Felon and Throne from Bova. And I don't believe they ever had a chance. I don't believe that he was cannibalized at all. But that mythology continues. People still believe that. The song Timothy was written about that. And Timothy, when that came out in 71, after the mine disaster of 63, a lot of people, I think a lot of people were really concerned and, maybe even heard, that here's a song that's talking about the tragedy that happened in their little patch town. So there was never any evidence. The other thing too is typically with mining disasters, they never went back down to retrieve the body or bodies.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it was too dangerous and it was too expensive. They typically would just go and bulldoze the site, do a little memorial to the miners, and then the priest would do the last rites of absolution, and that would be it. So that was pretty typical for these mining disasters, and same thing with Mr. Louis Bova.
Yeah, I was wondering, obviously, what happened to him, and his son did a video on YouTube in which he says throughout his life he was told my dad was eaten, and he did not say in his videos that it did not happen. That's why I was wondering if there was anyone ever told you that did happen or not.
So I interviewed Johnny Bova, and that's what he told me. I wasn't going to interview him because I just thought that was going to just open up something that was really just like horrific for the family. But it was suggested that I do that just to add validity to my book. So I called him up and interviewed him, and he said that he believed that they ate his father, and he's been interviewed by numerous reporters, especially the reporters from the Hazleton Standard Speaker. And in at least 2 interviews that I've seen, he said that he believed that his father was cannibalized. So
but there's no actual proof. There's no way to tell it. And the two and Felon and Throne are no longer with us.
Yeah, they both passed. Yeah, and the Chicago Daily News had an article about Shepton, and they talked about the miners' mythology that the shortest guy usually would be the one who was eaten. Well, Louis Bova was the shortest guy. He was like maybe 5'4", but Davy Felon said only evil men would ask such a question about cannibalism. He said it never happened. And he was a religious guy. He had a deep faith, and but I don't believe that happened.
I believe cannibalism does happen.
It does, yes, correct.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah, it does. But I don't believe it happened in Shepton in '63.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but
I thought. Go ahead. Oh, I thought. Oh no problem. I thought we were going to say that it did happen. That's what I was kind of expecting.
Oh, No, not at all.
That's good. I'm glad. It's kind of good to hear, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, there have been, there's no evidence of any of that. I mean, the other thing too is those miners were so traumatized. They were so traumatized. They were experiencing PTSD. They're crawling on their hands and feet like animals. They're sucking in coal particles. They were adrenalized. They were filled with fear. The mine kept on collapsing. They had these rushes, and I think the last and they were drinking sulfur water, and they were chewing on bark, from the wood, the pillars. But anyway, that was it. I wrote Shepton. I tried to write it as they had experienced it, so I wanted it to be like almost psychologically horrific. And there's a chapter called extrication, when they actually pulled them up through the borehole, and it was claustrophobic. It was maddening, and I wrote that like a horror film. So if you ever read my book Shepton, you don't want to read that chapter extrication at night. So
Well, sounds good. Hey, people love scary things.
yeah,
And people love to be scared.
yeah.
Apparently, we're like the only creature that likes to be scared.
Yeah.
It's something I ran across somewhere.
It's curiosity. That's why. It's curiosity.
Yep.
It's
And
That makes sense.
And in Coal Region Hoodoo, I have a couple of chapters talking about Jack the Ripper and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and our need to feel that fear and why we do it psychologically. So that's in the book as well. So anyway, I want to thank you again for inviting me to the program, and hope your listeners found some of this of interest.
I think they certainly did. I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And Lori, it was good to chat with you. For as much as I could hear, and I'm having some technical difficulties there, with the audio, but you
whatever you're doing now, Lori, keep doing that for the future. You sounded better of late.
You have a face forward.
You're right there when you're right in front of the microphone. You sound really good.
Yeah, I need to get headphones.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, but I'll post this on my timeline as well, because they'll love Maxim's book.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay.
I wish you, so that way they can look for them, because I have a lot of people using the book, people that the writers, as their guest on their shows as well. And,
okay.
Yours is educational, and I like that. You're not limited. You're not scientific. You're just open, and I like that.
Okay.
What I do. A lot of people said, "Oh, it's scientific. They can find out." No.
No, we need to hear as many voices as we can till we figure this out.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
6 years old, I went through a lot. I've seen demons. I've seen possession.
Oh,
and my father,
I can see that.
He's shaman as well, and Cherokee Indian. So he took one of his best friends that was very much of a Christian, went to church every day, and the man was possessed with something bad. He'd sit on the front of his house roof like a gargoyle, making his family circle with a gun in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And sorry to cut you off there. Octopus that says, thanks a lot, you guys. I loved it. And thanks for reading my rambling. You're welcome, Octopus. If you don't mind, if you could please help us out, give us a thumbs up or a like. I think you're on YouTube. So if you give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. Helps out all of us, both us and Maxim.
Yep.
And of course, I want to thank Maxim. We're about out of time. Maxim's website is MaximFurek.com. And I also had it scrolling across the bottom. He also has a Facebook account if you wish to keep up with him, if that might be easier for upcoming appearances. If you like the broadcast, consider helping us out by liking and sharing. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching on Facebook or giving a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and sharing on YouTube. All that helps us. And also do it for all the shows as well on CARC Universal. If you watch this far, well, don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be notified of future broadcasts. You might as well subscribe. Thank you. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. Lori, do you have anything to add?
No, thank you for having me on. I enjoy your show.
Very good. Okay. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year and hope 2024 is great for all of us. So,
absolutely.
Yes.
Good health.
I forgot. My apologies.
Yeah.
Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well.
Okay.
Merry
All right.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
And Maxim, if you don't mind, if you have time, if you could hang out for a moment backstage.
Sure.
And I am going to take us out in just just a moment here. Once I hit the right things here. All right, here we go. So long.
This has been a CARC Universal production.